What's up, traders, and welcome to my stream. Today is we're close to the holidays, and we have the holidays going up for us. And I decided to make a nice presentation of how to find the best day trading stocks. This is a pretty good presentation. Is how I find the best stocks during the holidays and every single day, and my criteria and my checklist and everything in between. This is a nice guide for you guys, beginners to advanced. Actually, this is probably gonna help a lot of people answer a lot of questions, and this is a nice. I don't know how long it's gonna be. I'm just gonna try to keep talking. So, how to find the best day trading stocks to trade that make money today. This would be my setup here. I've been trading for around 16 years. The way I trade is usually looking at six different screens, six different charts every single day. I actually upgraded my Alienware R2. I have the 16-inch with the 4090 right here streaming from it. I really like the 4090. And I really like the Alienware laptops because they have very many ports you can put in the back, and you can hook up, like I'm hooking up like three screens. So I highly recommend the Alienware X16 R2. That's what I'm using right now. So this is kind of like my setup. I also have a 4K monitor for my travels, and this is a very nice presentation of what I look at every single day, starting with 6 in the morning, 6:30, especially in a hot market. But now we're in a much colder market, so we're gonna go ahead and talk about myself and how I find day trading stocks. So we're gonna go ahead. So what exactly do I do? I specialize in small cap securities. Understanding the day trading landscape. So what do we trade? I trade small cap companies. These companies are very volatile. They have a float underneath 20 million, market cap underneath 30 million or 40 million. I try to stay away from institutions, and I try to trade insider stocks, and I also try to trade highly shortable stocks. That's something I like doing. And let's see if I have the light on so you can see me better. So I like to trade small cap stocks. This is something I've always liked doing. This is my bread and butter kind of, and they're very moody, very seasonal, very volatile, and they you can make a lot of money very quickly in a very short amount of time. So this is the highlights of the potential risk and reward. First off, the risk. If you buy them and you hold them forever, I mean they can go from $1 to triple zero ones. They can do a reverse split in which they pretty much give you another double your shares, and then they add a zero to their share. If you're at 0.002 and they do a 100 to 1 reverse split, now the stock's at $1, and they repeat the process. I mean, these companies, if you hold them for too long, they will go to zero. Majority of them have been going to zero, and the dangers of holding them for a long period of time is that they will sell off. So if you buy them, they will pretty much can if you hold them and buy them, they'll pretty much go down forever. But if you short them and you're in a hot market, these securities tend to go up sometimes 2,000% in a day, like from $1 to like $20 in just one single day, and you can pretty much blow up your account. So that's the risk. If you're shorting, you can blow up your account and you can owe the broker more than you have in your account. Your reward. If you understand them, you'll be able to make 10, 20%. Let me move my face here. If you understand them, you'll be able to make 10, 20% with ease. Sometimes you'll be able to even have a 40, 50% gain, especially in a hot market. And your reward is the most volatile stocks in the stock market. These are, pretty much you look at your top gainers list, see which ones are moving, and these are the most volatile stocks in the stock market. Um, So let's proceed on to slide number two. So these are your risks and these are your reward. So emphasizing the importance of a solid strategy and risk management. As you know, I pretty much started a course. I've been working on a course for about 2 years now, actually 3 years since the bear market started. So, I have a booklet in which I pretty much took every single chart that I traded that day and I pretty much put it in separate categories. And based on, the categories here, you can see that, so far I've come up to about, 5 to 10 strategies, shorting and buying them. Having a strategy. Like some of my trading patterns have been, aftermarket with news, beginning of a bull market cycle, the one stock, that's a pattern. Buy the daily breakout, buy the hot chick of the day, choppy Thursday, cold market news, algo spike. Cutting losses is important. Day two continuation. So if I were gonna look at this one, let me see how many of these are solid setups because I have to look. So day two continuation, first green day bounce, first red day short, the gap up short, um, intraday trend line breakout, multiple day short squeeze. That's pretty good. Short the daily trendline resistance, right? Pre-market VWAP reclaim, Amazon zombies. So I have about 10 setups that I usually do well. I usually trade every single day from a short perspective and from a long perspective. About 10 setups that I have studied and reviewed, and I have every single example for the past 3 years of those setups, and I pretty much made right now I'm working on my course to release it and pretty much teach you in depth much more about it. I'm not sure how long this course is, but the next course I'm gonna release for paying members is probably gonna be a much more in depth. This is more like an outline, trying to get you to see like what I see in the markets. So you can see, we're gonna start out with, identifying over here, identifying key stock characteristics. So first off, this ticker here is BMR. So the way I identify, the stocks to trade every single day is, as you can see in this scenario here, in the morning, you can see that we had a nice move pre-market. I mean, this is a key indicator of big move pre-market, so volatility. So first off, when I sit down at my desk, say 6:30 or 7 o'clock, I look for a big move. That's very important because if I have a big move, I'll be able to make a decision whether I want to buy it, whether I short it. I need stocks to be moving. You can see this morning the stock at 7 o'clock moved from like 250 to like 650, and most people think that's over, and that's not necessarily over. It could be a buy. And you can see in this scenario, I think the day of BMR was a day that, this stock had news, released video codec or something. So in this scenario here, the way I identify stocks is I look for stocks that move pre-market. I look at my pre-market gap scanner, which is over here. This is kind of similar. It doesn't say midday percent gainers. It looks like midday pre-market scanner. And I pretty much, it might seem a little bit confusing to you because I look at it every single day, but primarily I want to see which one has the most relative volume. That's important. It's not really that important. Just, where is the volume, very high. You can see, so in these scenarios it was very high, around 17,000%. That means it traded 17,000% more than it usually does, the volume. So if the volume was 10,000, you multiply 10,000 with 17,000, and that's pretty much, what that volume is, which is 18 million, which is exactly what I said, 17 million. Because usually they don't have more than, let's call it 10,000 average daily volume or something. And then I look at the float, and you can see most of the time I group my I group my float into sections. A dark green is like medium float, lighter green is like lower float, and then I have really, really light green, which is, very micro float. And then I have the volume here. I like the volume. Blue is like normal, and then green right here is just light volume. So I really like, how much volume does it have, whether it has light volume, medium volume, high volume, because if a stocks has, you know, too much volume is no good. If it has too little volume is no good. It has to have medium to low volume, because if it has too much volume, sometimes it gets overcrowded. Then I look at how much what's the percentage of the stock being short, because as you remember, the what is it called, the those stocks, those meta not meta the those stocks, GameStop and all those stocks, they were heavily shorted, AMC. And then I look at insiders, then I look at institutions. You can see if they're over 50% or 40%, I have them in red. So this is something this is called my gap scanner, and I custom created it for me, especially for me, so I can see exactly, what kind of animal am I dealing with, because when you're trading a stock, you're trading an animal. Um, it has different moves based on their share structure. So in this situation, you see BMR is 69% insiders. So what happens in an insider owned stocks, the stock goes much higher than I think, and also squeezes the shorts. And that's basically what happens most of the time, what I have discovered. And you can see in this situation, we had a downtrend break right here around 560. It went all the way up to 750. So that's, not always is going to happen so cleanly, so nicely, but this is a very good example of a, downtrend breakout here, and, identifying a stock that has volatility. So first off, I definitely look at my pre-market gap scanner, and I'd have them color coded so I can see a very good, so I can see the bigger picture of the stock. What kind of animal am I dealing with? Next, we're gonna discuss liquidity. How much volume was traded in a pre-market. You can see so here that I really don't like stocks that traded very little volume. I like to, I like them to have at least, I don't know, 10 million in volume. I like them to have. I never want to be the only guy trading the stock. I want it to be on my pre-market gap scanner, and I want them to be easy to find, because most traders that trade small cap companies, they just open up their phone, they load up their Webull account, and then they look at the pre-market top gainers, and then they look at the first one. So in this situation, it was the first one, so it was pretty easy to find, and I want that stock to be liquid. Next one is, then so the way I trade is very different, very simple and very basic. It's very basic and very simple. What I look at is, I look at trend. I don't use RSI, MACD, all those crazy indicators. I only use basic daily resistance and support, and as well as I use trend lines. Trend lines, support, resistance. This is and VWAP. This is the four things that I really do need. Uh, really do need. So now we're gonna go in a couple of examples of, some of my main money makers that I use to make a lot of money. This is an example of making money in the middle of the day, like buying. So what I try to do is I try to combine, the daily. This is, you can see so here in the daily over here, and on the right is the pretty much intraday on the 1 minute. So what I try to do is I like to combine two things. You can see so in this situation, you can see a clear daily breakout of 478. Well, this one is not clean because we did initially break out this level and we came back down. You could also argue that, 525 was a good breakout point in which we hit 7. So, you're technically buying a stock that did a daily breakout, and that's really what you're doing. This is actually a pretty choppy example. Usually, it just goes through it and then pretty much goes higher. But in this situation, initially went higher, rejected, came back, and then it reclaimed. This is a pretty good example what I do like buying. This is called also a daily breakout. Like some of my favorite setups have been daily breakouts, uh, daily resistance, and buying stocks in the pre-market. So buying the daily breakout, shorting the daily resistance, or buying a stock in early in the morning at around VWAP. So in this scenario here, you can see that hollow here, we broke out of this 43 mark, and then we actually went back down, and we held 43 for a while, and then we had this squeeze candle that led up to $100. So it broke 43 and it hit $100. And I think I was live streaming. This is called a buy the daily breakout. So this is a pattern based on my humongous um, memory bank of patterns. You can see so 43, 43, 43. So once it breaks 43, you have a very much likely the sky is the limit. That's kind of like the mentality here. Another one, let's move on to the next one. This is another example. WHLR, we pushed through 132. We came back down. We hold 132, and then we come back. You can rebuy it at 160, 150, and it hits $2. That's a very 30% gain in just a couple of days. This is more like a midday. Most of these two are midday breakouts. So I like to buy day pre-market breakouts. I don't think I put any pre-market breakouts here, but I do have a couple of them. But these are a daily breakout patterns. Another one. These are kind of like some of my favorite ones. Technical analysis for stock selection, support resistance. You can see clearly here that HTOO. We gapped up around, I don't know, around 7 o'clock. We gapped up around 3, and we came back and we hit this 470 line. As you can see, I drew a couple of lines here, and then we hit this level, and it was also a confirmed rejection. And what you do is you want to go short it, and then what you want to do is cover at the market close, or when you have a gain of 30, 40% at least. These are some of my, this is called a gap up short, and also you can pretty much do a gap up short combined with a daily resistance short. So these are, I'm giving you three of my favorite setups so I can get you started to building your account or your small account. And and these are like some of my favorite. This is shorting the daily resistance. This is another example. This is actually a very clean short example, as I shorted RSLS around 19, and then it went all the way up down to 12. And then pretty much this was a little bit choppier because we actually came from 11, we hit 21, we came back down to VWAP, and then we came back up to 21. So a lot of people thought we're gonna go to like 40 or 50 or 30. They were nervous to short. I went ahead and shorted, and you can pretty much make 20 to $13. This is a short the daily resistance pattern. And you have to understand like not every single ticker is going to be a short. You have to understand like are you in a hot market, are you in the beginning of a hot market or the end of the hot market. You have to get all these situations, but this is my second favorite setup that I do have here, so I can get you just started or trying to get you a taste of what you're going to be doing. This is another example of short the daily resistance. We came up to 704 in the pre-market from about a dollar. And then you can see so here that you can pretty much short at 7, risking off the 8. So you risk a dollar and you pretty much make, $4 a share on the downside. So it has 1 to 4 risk reward by shorting it at 7, risking off 8, uh, because in this situation, I don't think anybody got any short here at 774. But you can see clearly that 772 here was the resistance area for the stock. So you try to get yourself, you first you watch if it rejects, because sometimes it just flies through it. So you wait for it to reject and then you add into your short. That's how I actually played that short. So we talked about buying the daily breakout, buying the daily, shorting the daily resistance. Now we're gonna talk about most of my setups that I do nowadays are pretty much I buy stocks as they reclaim VWAP. As you can see here, Jasper, this is an example of what happened in January 2024. We had Jasper here. I think this was December 24th. Last year, we're in 2024 at the end of the year in December, and this was in December 2023. So this was a year ago. So I'm sorry. So this is a typo. This is in December 2023. So Jasper came up here, and we had like a dollar, and then we had a VWAP reclaim at about a dollar, and then in this situation, you would combine, the round number mentality. It breaks a dollar and then it holds a dollar. You can see so here it breaks a dollar and we hold a dollar. And then it also what coincided that dollar, it coincided also with VWAP. So this is a nice example of buying a stock with news in the pre-market with around VWAP. And then what you do is try to hold on to it as much as you can and try to take gains as it goes higher and higher and higher. This is the most abnormal situation I've seen so far. A stock going from $1 to $10 in a day because this stock eventually hit, I think, $4 in this situation. It hit $4. So from $1 in the pre-market to $4. I mean, these are, epic opportunities that happen in a very hot market, and you need to understand this setup. So once you have a stock coming up here, with news, you try to buy it as it reclaims VWAP. You put your stop somewhere underneath it, and you try to ride the trend. This is another example of a VWAP reclaim right about here. This is VVOS. Stock had news in the morning, and this happened in January. As you can, this also happened in December. So you can see in December and January are pretty hot months. This happened also on December 24th. So this is what happened last year in December 24th. So you got to know like what's going to happen this year. So you can see like the stocks were very active, at the end of the year. So we had Jasper going up from a dollar to four, and then we also had VVOS going up from a dollar to $3. And this happened also December 24th, I believe, 2024. We could also, so you can see that once it reclaims VWAP around here at around 120, the stock pretty much hit $3. So that is impressive, and it also held a dollar. So that's a beautiful long. The next ticker we're going to talk about, this actually happened in January. Uh, I mean January at the end of January. You can see so December is here. I think it's December. I don't know if it's January. It's around the holidays anyway. So you can see we pop up and then we have a VWAP reclaim, and that's actually where I bought it at like 450 and we hit like 550. And then it hit 650. So you can understand that 450 to 650 it hit around, 50% in a very short period of time. This is a common pattern that I look for. Wait for a stock to pop up and then I look for it to VWAP reclaim and then I try to go along as it makes a higher high. That's a pattern I've been doing because some of them just don't recover. Some of what happens to these stocks, most of the time they just go straight up and then they come back down, and then if they don't hold VWAP, they lose VWAP. They never come back, and VWAP becomes resistant. So as long as the VWAP is holding, you're all good. So in this situation, it hit somewhere around here. So the long was around 430, and we hit 650. Very nice trade. Another example of a VWAP reclaim, you can see SPBR. This also happened in the beginning of last year, or last couple of weeks of December. You can see so we popped up around two, and then we actually hit like 280, and at the end of the day we hit 340. So from 2 to like 340, there was an immense amount of opportunity here, around 60% of trading this ticker. um this is a very good example of what you have if you have a very small account to your name, like how to get yourself a little bit situated here. I'm going to move this to the side. You can, a lot of you guys have a very small account, and I understand you're trying to make money in your first year, which is very difficult, or maybe second year, and you possibly could be losing consistently. Uh, if you have 1100 to your name, this is what I would do. I would only trade between 7 to 8 a.m. to 10:30 each day. I would try to take base hits, 10% or more. I would absolutely avoid midday trading, and I would try to have as much as I can a maximum loss per ticker, or don't trade the ticker if you're losing more than two times. If you're more experienced, I advise to, if you have a stock running more than 150%, to go on the backside, but try to avoid the first green day. If maybe you want to short a stock going up 150% on its second green day, that's a very, very money shot. Um, Basically, what you're going to be doing if you have a small account, try to focus on, this is my criteria of some of my best criteria right here. A low float underneath 10 million in float, a clean chart, a news contract, NASA, Tesla, Apple contract with money, stocks gapping up in the morning like 70, 80%. And we've just finished a cold market and now we're going to a hot market. What you want to do is to try to trade the one mover that's moving, or try to trade the stocks in the pre-market as much as you can, because that's when most volatility happens. Even if a cold market, sometimes most of the volatility happens in a core market. Try to watch the markets as much as you can, and take notes, and look for low floats underneath 10 million, clean chart, news with contract, NASA, Tesla, stock gapping up 100% after a very long cold market. I mean, these are the things you want to be doing. And take one base hit, take base hits, but try to sell partially. I always take some profits out when I have a 10% gain, just because I don't want to have no profit in a cold market. But some of these trades, some of these stocks, if you're in a hot market, you can hold them for 20, 30, 40, 50% sometimes in gains in a day. I mean, this is a very home run opportunity, but they're happening, and they're, as you can see it in many of my slide, it's very much possible. The Holy Grail pocket aces. Like, I mean, what is not a good stock to buy? It's actually a good stock to short. Actually, the best stock not to short is the best stock to buy. Like, no shorting anything with a major PR, like Walmart, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Apple, or now Tesla or Nvidia. You don't want to short something that, you never want to short a stock that has a contract. Like, say they receive $2 million, $3 million, $4 million. Actually, those are the best stocks to buy. Also, whenever they have news that they have money, it's important. Like contract, deal, agreement. Whenever it's like 5 million in the news, $2 million in the news, $10 million in the news, something outrageous, 20, half a billion dollars. I mean, those are stocks you want to buy. You want to buy them, not short them. Maybe, positive phase two, positive phase one, a patent news. These are like some great news you can pretty much read. So you watch your gap scanner, and you pretty much look at the news, and then you decide how to trade them. The way I try to trade them in the morning is pretty much look for look at them as they reclaim VWAP over here. That's kind of like how they have been working in the past. These are some of the examples that happened, around last year in December and January. These are some very good examples here. And Keep in mind here, this is a very good indication of, this is a practical tips for choosing penny stocks. You understand that market small caps go through different cycles, and there's different cycles in the hot market. Just beware that, for a limited amount of time, say a week or 2 weeks, You're gonna have unrealistic trades or unrealistic opportunities as a buyer because you're basically squeezing out all the shorts that have been making money for the past month. And just understand like these opportunities don't last very much. It might last a week, it might last 2 weeks. I mean, you can see so here that this is the cycle. The buying cycle lasts around you have lasts around two maybe 3 weeks. This is a bull cycle. You have zombies, you have bye holds VWAP, you have 1,000% movers, stocks that go from, I don't know, 5 to 10, 5 to 20, 5 to 15. That's a hot market. And you have the bear market cycle. That's when you have to, pretty much take base hits. It's very hard to take base hits because you're feeling FOMO because you saw so many movers, like you saw 10 movers that made an excruciating amount of money, and it's very hard for you to take profits 10, 20%, 10. You need to take profits at 10%. And you need to understand that in this market, most of these stocks will likely sell off. Then, the stock market transitions and potentially a debt market where, maybe one mover, maybe no movers at all. And then it could be, a bottomless pit when there's nothing happening. So these are the cycles that pretty much a plague, and they repeat over and over in the small cap land. And you have to be aware of these to know what to do, where to take your profits, and to not start buying stocks in a dead market cycle or a bottomless pit cycle. You have to understand that. Um, so make sure you're mindful about what kind of cycles you're in. And this is the end. Make sure you hop in into my private Discord. Um, Make sure you hop into my private Discord where I stream these plays each and every day. I also live stream on Monday, I think, on YouTube for free, or at least one day out of the week I live stream these examples or me trading these stocks um, on Monday maybe, or maybe some on Wednesday. So make sure you hit the notifications bell in case I post something. But if you like to me to stream and to talk to you on a daily basis, join in the link below, where you can pretty much subscribe and see me in my private Discord with me talking and me trying to plan a ticker and me trying to take profits out of the ticker, or me these opportunities are available for a fee. My time is worth money, and if you like to receive that service, hop in the private Discord. We're doing a pretty much as of right now we're doing a summer sale, fall of 2024 sale. Link is the description below. And this was it. This was my presentation, how I find stocks. Hope this video was helpful. Give this video a like, and see you all in my next video. Thank you for watching.